This is one way I keep the weeds out of my garden. The chickens are pretty happy that things have melted off enough that they can come out and stand in the garden without having to be in that evil snow.
So many of you know that I have a real passion for teaching. Before I got into real estate, I was an algebra professor. I have a master's in teaching. I'm on the Keller Williams faculty, so I get to teach agents here in my office. And I have educated hundreds of home buyers in the last 22 years on the process of buying a home. So now, for the very first time, I'm actually going to be putting on a home buyer seminar. I'm excited about this. I've got a lender with 10 years of experience and a title agent with 16 years of experience joining me. We're going to be walking people through the home buying process and answering all your questions. This is not just for first-time buyers. This is for anyone thinking about buying a home, probably in the next year. So if you or anyone you know is thinking about buying a home, make sure you put this on your calendar. It is going to be May 4th from 5:30 to 7 here in the Keller Williams training room. And we're going to provide food. I believe we're going to be bringing pizza, so I hope to see you there. Let me know if you need any more information, and I will be sending out invitations in the mail and via email. So as most of you know, last week was my annual Spring Garden Seminar, and Daryl Leiser gave us a lot of fantastic information. So as a recap for those of you who were there, or information for those of you who weren't able to make it, I want to give you a few of the top tips that I wrote down from the seminar. First of all, raised bed gardens. As you can see, mine is still under snow, but it's definitely time to have my starts going inside. If you have a slug problem, which we have a lot of slugs in south central Anchorage, south of central Alaska and Anchorage, put copper wire or copper tape around the edge of your raised bed garden. That will keep the slugs from crawling across it, so they won't go into your garden. Now, along with that, it won't allow the slugs to leave your garden either. So if you do have a slug problem, there's a few things you can do. You can use bait. Of course, there's the old beer trap. If you have big leafed things like kale and cabbage, they'll like to go underneath the big leaves, and you can just take those off and kill the slugs, or in my case, feed them to the chickens. Chickens love slugs, by the way. Another thing that you can do with the slugs is you can put down boards in your garden, things that you can kneel on, and chuck them in the morning, and the slugs will be on the back of those boards, and you can scrape them off and kill them at that point in time. So raised bed gardens, you want to do copper wire to keep slugs out of the garden. Also, if you have perennial gardens, if you have strawberries, if you have perennials that you put straw on to protect them through the winter, and straw is a really good way to protect your perennials, by the way, May 1st is a good time to take that off. Now, I may not be ready by May 1st because, as you can see, I still have snow and my ground is frozen. Depending on where you live, May 1st is about the right time to do that. So one of the big tips that I always pick up from Daryl, and it's a great tip, is people want to know, when can I plant? Well, obviously last year we had no snow this time of year. It was a lot warmer, the ground had warmed up faster, so we could plant sooner. There's no way I'm planting anywhere in the next few weeks with all the snow. So the way to find out if it's safe to plant in your area, because we have a lot of microclimates in Anchorage and in Alaska, when the birch trees in your neighborhood are fully leafed out, when they have a full leaf on them, that means we're past any frost danger, and that's when it's safe to put your plants out in your garden. We also talked about lawn care. This is my lawn, so I'm not doing anything for a while. But what Daryl said as far as lawn care is, if you want to plant a lawn or if you want to reseed a lawn, the best time to start that is June 1st. You can put the seeds down earlier, but then you have to water them longer because it's the temperature that causes the grass seeds to germinate. So you can water them for a month until it's warm enough, or you can water them for a couple of weeks depending on when you plant the seeds. So he said really June 1st to August 15th is when he likes to plant grass seeds. And here in Alaska, the grasses that do best are the bluegrasses and the fescues. A lot of the grass mix you'll get at big box stores is going to have rye in it. Even perennial rye is not winter hardy in Alaska. And the challenge is it sprouts faster than the bluegrasses and fescues, so it'll sprout in 5 to 7 days. You'll quit watering your seeds, and all those bluegrass and fescue that take up to 2 weeks to germinate are going to die in the seed. And then you'll have a nice lawn for one season, it'll be dead the next. So make sure you get your bluegrasses and fescues and that you keep them well watered for the full 2 weeks or more until those little guys are coming up. Another thing he talked about is that our trees up here in Alaska have a very shallow root system. In fact, they're only a few inches below the surface of the ground because our grounds are so cold. So one of the things he told us is 6 inches of topsoil can kill even the biggest tree. So if you have beautiful birch trees, spruce trees, even ornamentals, you cannot put a bunch of topsoil over them without killing them. So if your lawn does not have enough topsoil, or if you're trying to put in a lawn, A lawn really needs 5 to 7 inches of topsoil, but you can't add more than an inch, inch and a half at a time, or you'll kill your trees. So if you need to build up the topsoil for your lawn, you can add it an inch, inch and a half at a time. Your current lawn will grow through it, and your tree roots will be able to adapt. So every year you can add that extra inch and a half of soil, but don't try to add it all at once, or you will end up with dead trees. Another thing we talked about is what likes to grow where. So if you have a shady spot in your garden or in your yard and you want some plants, impatiens and begonias do well in the shade. If you have a hot sunny area, Livingston daisies and geraniums are great for that. Now I want to clear up a myth that Daryl cleared up for us about fuchsias. Everyone thinks fuchsias hate sunshine. He said that's absolutely not true. They are a light-loving, heat-hating plant. The nice thing is in Anchorage, it doesn't usually get hot enough to bother the fuchsias, so you can plant them in a basket, put it out in the full sun. As long as you keep them watered, they'll do great. And that's why Anchorage is the fuchsia basket capital of the world, because we have a great climate to be able to give them lots and lots of sun without overheating them. So start those fuchsia baskets and they can grow huge and beautiful in the sunlight.